We've got some
Hey,
fresh
I'm
new
Luis.
young
And
talent
I'm
doing some
Luis.
things
And you're
that I know
listening
you
to the
haven't
Content
heard
is
before.
Profit podcast.
Where we talk about entrepreneurship, mindset, and of course, how to turn your content into profit.
But most importantly, we are here to have a good time with you. So go to contentisprofit.com and join the family. Let's go.
Oh, yeah. Like my brother said, today we're going to the other side of the world.
Again.
Start thinking about your guesses before we reveal where our guest is from. But
I'm more interested to know what we're talking about, not the place we're going.
That was exactly what I was going to share. I was going to share what we're going to talk about.
Just share.
We're going to be
tell us.
talking all about how to make people your greatest marketing asset.
Ooh.
Very powerful.
Yeah, golden bullet on its own.
Since we're dealing with lots of people when we are, producing a show like Content is Profit.
That's right.
And if you own a business, you're definitely, hopefully, dealing with a lot of people's, aka clients, right?
I know. Maybe this is a topic that not a lot of people see top funnel topic in there, but it's super important.
I know. I feel like we've said people like 100 times
People.
in the last 30 seconds.
Sounds good. Guys, if you enjoy this show, make sure to follow in your favorite podcasting platform because every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, keep in mind, if FONZI hits publish, the other day, forgot, just saying, just throwing him under the bus. No, but go ahead and follow the show because these episodes are dropping right in your phone so you can listen when you do the lawn, when you drive to work, when you do laundry, when you clean the house. Many ways. Easy peasy.
That's right. Just keep us right next to your ear. I didn't forget, I just thought people need to listen to this episode for way longer. And then I just posted the other one later. Guys, if today's guest helped you move one step closer towards your goal, please don't forget to share this episode with 3 friends. That is your ticket of admission. And thank you.
So today we're going back to the other side of the world. By this point, we should just do a live tour through Australia.
That is right. Today's guest is an incredible agency owner whose sole purpose is to help build businesses people feel compelled to talk about.
Compelled. Big letters, guys. Big letters.
Yeah. Caps.
Do you want to be memorable, Fonzie? Well,
I do.
Then this conversation is for you.
I'm glad I'm here then.
Today's guest is also the co-host of the Remarkable Project podcast and has the impressive skill of solving a Rubik's Cube.
Let me tell you that it's very impressive. I've never been able to solve one of them. Have you?
No, I don't think I've legit tried, but probably not.
I've tried. It's borderline impossible. I'm telling you. It's very, very difficult, guys. But maybe we should challenge him to do it live. We'll see. We'll see, guys. Please welcome the co-founder of Remarkable and maybe, just maybe, the Australian Rubik's Cube champ, Jay Tinkler. What's up,
guys?
Jay?
I love the idea of people listening to this doing laundry. I think that's just a fantastic idea.
Right?
Hey, I was listening to an interview with Neil Patel the other day, and he's like, I love to iron my own clothes. And this is a guy that spends what was his burn rate? Like $200,000 a month. And he just enjoys to iron his shirts. And he's like, it's meditation to me. And I'm like, oh man, we live in 2 different worlds. First off, I don't spend $200,000 a month.
And second, you don't have an iron.
Yeah. Well, it's collecting dust, okay? Fonzie's collecting dust. We don't use it. Anyway,
I think
Jay,
we put a call out. I think if you're not doing laundry, I think you should be right now. Let's move everyone into laundry right now.
Laundry mode. If you're driving, stop your car.
Absolutely. Or maybe they can listen to it while attempting a Rubik's Cube. Just throwing that out there. I have a feeling.
I heard that challenge, and I'm not sure whether I can do it live. It might be a long one, but I can say that I have done it.
I have a feeling that today's episode is just going to make people smarter, and it's probably the day that they want to attempt to, complete a Rubik's Cube.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Jay, why you start an agency? I'm very curious. We have our own reasons. I'm very curious on your entrepreneurial journey, right?
Yeah.
Is this the first venture that you had?
No. So I ran a web agency for about 11 years, mainly on-site stuff, creating websites with the backing of, I guess, behavioral science. What is acknowledging that, I guess, our audience members were still humans at the other end, and I did that for about 11 years, and this is sort of was born out of that. I guess was this idea that we are circling back now to a much more human approach to marketing, where people are wanting that face again.
Yeah.
11 years, man. That is a very long time. You know, I feel like there's so many questions that comes to that. First, were you profitable in those 11 years? That was it difficult for you to detach yourself from that business? Or were you in an emotional place where you were like, oh man, I need to leave from this and, you know, kind of like project and do something that is gonna maybe bring back the passion? There's so many questions in here, but why don't we start with those?
Yeah, so great question. I think for me, it was a profitable business. I think towards the end of my time with that business, it was pushing something that was against where the market was going, especially with web. I find that we are entering into almost a commoditized space with web, especially with builds and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And we're looking at a model now that's more of a long-term partnering around things like SEO and how we can actually use your website for more. So I think it was a natural time to move on.
There's like a lot of no-code tools now for the build type of thing, right? That make it pretty easy for people, and probably they started drifting towards those more. I
was also seeing, FONZI, I was also seeing actual bots being built that would build your actual website for you based on a few things that you put into a form and that kind of stuff. And I was like, the writing was on the wall for that type of business, but there was a thirst, and I was doing a lot more consulting and coaching around this area of how do you build a business that people feel compelled to talk about.
Yeah. Interesting. So what marks? It's my turn. It's my turn to choke the mic over here.
Jay, like hashtag choke the mic. I mean,
absolutely.
That's a thing. Like, I won't be able to talk today.
It is a thing. I'm proud of it. But Jay, I'm curious. You know, like besides the transition of the market, seeing where the market was going, I'm sure it was challenging to say, "Hey, man, I've spent 11 years of my life investing in this venture," right? I mean, the sunk cost of spending 11 years in one project to transition to something totally new must have been pretty challenging, right? Or was there some sort of, you weren't passionate about what you were doing anymore, or as passionate about that side, and you were like, hey, maybe I can try something new that is gonna revitalize me in a sense?
I think a bit of both there. I definitely felt that feeling of is transitioning from a business that it is profitable, but my heart wasn't in it anymore. Is that considered failure? And I really, my mind came around to the idea that it's more about a linear progression, that where you show up in your right person, right seat, when you are in the right seat, you show up in a more abundant way for people as well. So it was a search for finding something that was more aligned to my passion piece, which probably the I guess the common denominator that goes through everything that I've done is I have a deep, and this is a weird thing to have a passion about, but I have a deep passion around the topic of trust and what trust actually looks like. And even in the web business, the whole thing was about how do you create a website that sort of creates trust in your customer at that really early stage of awareness. And so although it doesn't look as linear, that's the common denominator that still goes through the business today, which is how do you build a trusting relationship with your customer?
Yeah. I mean, that's a topic, right? We often touch on, we call it ART, right? Authority, relevancy, and trust. We discovered that after finally cracking the consistency element, right, on publishing on our end. And to this date, like BIZBROS has been since 2015. It was an entity, right? And then it has evolved over time. But in the last 2 years, we've really have been working in like one service, one product, one service, right? And to this date, like we have no website, right? And the fact that we've been able to
it is a Notion page with a kind of like a little
overview of the things, right?
A little wrapper that makes it look like a website.
And and you know, to the point, and I think for like the very first year, and we crossed 6 figures in sales with this sales page that had nothing to do, right? And we call it the 6-figure sales letter, right? And it's funny because sometimes we mention this and people are like, send it to me, I want to hack it, I want to do the same thing. And I'm like, well, you don't understand like why we call it that way. And it's to give power to that consistency and publishing, right? Because with showing up consistently, getting feedback, having that conversation with your audience, having that conversation with the people that you connect with over our platform, we were able to gather enough feedback that we could provide a solution to their problems, right? And that's where everything started, and it has evolved from there. And the website is coming. Don't worry, people. We'll be official. But like to that point, I'm very passionate about that because a lot of people are like, I don't want to pursue something because my website is not ready. I don't want to pursue something because I think I need this landing page. I think I need this like lead magnet. I think I need this, right? And especially on publishing, right? So obviously that is how to build trust for us has been through that publishing. I'm curious, like from your end, right? On the other side, obviously you publish and we can dive into that, but from your site building experience, from your obviously 11 years, like how do people can build trust with that audience, even if sometimes that audience might not be there in the very first place?
Yeah, I guess trust for me, and this is a love-hate relationship with this topic because of the fact that I really want to shake business from around the neck and sort of really talk to them about this, because from, you know, where we start learning about business, whether you study business studies at school or economics or wherever you sort of started to learn this capitalist system that we now use today, our focus when it comes to trust is on reliability. It's on this element of how do you express to your customer that the risk that they're going to take with you is worth it, and you've got the skills to deliver, and that you'll show up and do the thing that they're paying you to do, and you give them, you know, that reliability piece is often the piece that we focus on, and which I call competence, your competence, showing up with your competence. And the bit that is interesting that I find around business is that the second piece, which is your ability to successfully communicate your warmth of intention, your that you mean someone well, you know, is underplayed. And the interesting thing is that we spend so much time talking about our competence that we look scarce. We look, it doesn't end up being something that our customer is attracted to.
Yeah.
So you guys would find, I'm sure, you're a lot further down this track than I am as far as podcasting and those kind of things, but it's in the questioning. It's in actually asking and being curious with someone that they feel warmer towards you, rather than you saying all the things that you can do for them and filling their cup. And so I think a starting point or a good place to jump off here is the idea that how do you build strategy around your warmth of intention and being able to understand and be curious about the transformation you're taking your customer through first. One last point around that. The interesting thing about this is that from a competence standpoint, we will actually forgive, as a customer, we'll forgive a lack of competence if we have a warmth of we know that you mean us well. But the other way, if you're really competent, but we're not really sure whether you mean us well, we don't forgive that other part. So it's interesting that in the balance there that, you know, it's probably more important that you get people feeling, or your customer feeling, like actually thick and thin, I don't even care whether these guys drop the ball sometimes, that kind of stuff, I'm with them. And that's where I think that the key to this trust piece is.
Yeah,
absolutely. So
Before you ask the next question, like can I share like 2 quick stories that illustrates this perfectly? Like one, like
I'm just gonna put this out there. I love how he asked permission. He's like, "Can I
know
please
who's boss.
ask this
I know
question?"
who's boss in this.
Yeah, next time please address to me as Mr. FONZI. Okay, all right.
Yes, sir, Mr. Kameho. Okay. No, but I really like this, right? Because it goes back to at the beginning when we were offering our service. I remember we're like, okay, we have this solution and we have this framework that gives this result, right? So we started to work with somebody and we were very tight on not trying to like leave that lane as far as like execution or like even giving our time to those clients to be available in certain times of day. Like it was a challenge, right? And FONZI was leaning a lot into, hey, we have to like dive in, like we have to like be there, like what's the solution, like what makes us indispensable, right? And we had this conversation with our coach for many weeks, right? And we're trying to discover like what makes us like different, indispensable, that legit that the content that we're providing for them is not commoditized, right? Like how can we add more value into these relationships?
Yeah. And the answer is not your accent. So if you have an accent, that doesn't make you indispensable. You're just gonna throw that out there.
Yeah, that didn't work out. I know, maybe a sexy Australian accent, but the Hispanic one definitely doesn't help. But anyway, so we went through that path, right? And kudos to FONZI. He's taking the bull by the horns in that side, and he's developed this whole customer journey that he's executing today. So we went from like clients like joining, and then after 2-3 months, they were like, guys, I don't really know, like maybe this is not a fit. In part was like the type of clients that we were attracting. That was a huge deal. Like we started like aiming to a different type of client as well that could support the system and the framework and the investment, right? That was part one. And then second part is like, okay, how can we add value to that? And that developed an incredible trust with all the clients that we have today. And I feel like we have communication, we have calls with them every single week. And the feedback is like, thank you guys, this is good. Like, thank you guys, we never experienced something like this with other companies. Thank you guys, right? And that's the trust that you talk about. So that's one on execution, kind of describing one of the situations that we've lived. And then there was another one that, I had it when it will come back to me, but it was...
That's why you write things down. That's why you
that's why I need the pen.
Notepad.
Anyways, I think like this was the most important one because it's the closest to us, and it was something that solved going from 2 months, 3 months lifetime, what's it called? Average lifetime value, LTV to 6, 7, 8 months now, right? So that's a significant differently in month to month, recurring revenue. Which whenever you have like a service or a high-end service or a high-end coaching program, like it helps a ton down the line because it secures it. It helps you plan for the future. It helps you hire. It helps you like be secure in what you're doing. So thank you for describing that situation. I just want to put like a scenario out there of what happened inside of our business because we're actively working on this to build trust, not only on the sales side, right? Like we talked about with consistency, but also after you make that transaction, it's like, how can we continue to develop this relationship and this trust so we can move forward?
The interesting thing about what you've just said there is probably one of the areas that we come up against a lot is this issue around not seeing the ROI straight away, but having faith and confidence that putting time, effort, just general consideration around this area of how do we build relationship long term returns tenfold in the future. Probably more, I believe, more so than getting another customer through your lead funnel or those kind of things. Everyone knows that it costs more to get new customer than to actually build lifetime value off your existing. And I just wanted to put a pin in that. Is exactly what you're saying is something that we come up against a lot, which is that idea that if you invest now and set up the principles and the roadmap and the customer journey that you spoke about, that builds that long-term warmth of intention with your customer, then everything just gets better. Everything cascades off the back of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm pretty curious, right? We live in a world of instant gratification. I feel like the messages are getting shorter and shorter. Attention span of people are getting shorter and shorter. So when you publish content, right, you need to be getting at people's attention real quickly. And I'm guessing maybe even building trust as fast as possible, right? I mean, you got your sales processes, right? And you have X amount of touch points that you need to take before somebody make a decision, whatever, all those stats out there. How do we go, or how do you guys tackle this building trust? At what speed are you guys building trust with the people that you're trying to help, or the businesses, right? Are you helping them build trust faster with the people that they want to help? Or maybe that's the totally wrong question, right? Maybe there's not a speed to build trust, right? I'm extremely curious on that end, right? Because I guess that's part of the content game, right? You're trying to generate attention, but at the same time, you want people to be invested in you and how you can help them.
Yeah. So how we look at this is around moments, really, long term. And let's take an onboarding, because it's sort of top of mind at the moment. We've got a guy coming on the podcast from a company called Bonjoro. Are you guys aware of Bonjoro?
Yeah, is that the video app that you can send individual messages?
Yeah. Yeah. So, we get people, you say you have a lead funnel or someone subscribing, it takes 30 seconds to send a little video saying, if there's anything I can help you with, click on the button, let's organize a call, putting face to the name. It's really unexpected. So there's 4 elements that I think are really important here, guys. The first is personalized. I think it's important that we get back to this face-to-face. At least you can do this at scale. All the people that are saying, the time and all of, you can still, there's enough technology out there that we can actually do a lot of the personalization stuff at scale. So personalized is the first one. Unexpected is the second one. We need to figure out ways in which we can create unexpected moments for our customers, because they're the times where they go, you mentioned before, we haven't experienced this kind of service before, guys. Thank you. It doesn't have to be, clowns at your front door blowing trumpets, or, it has to be something that is relevant to what they're talking about and what you're talking about, relevant to your business and those kinds, but unexpected moments that show, coming back to that level of warmth of intention, that you care, that you really mean something. The next one is remarkable. Believe it or not, we have to have the big R word in there. And what I mean by remarkable is can we talk about this? Can it be something that is shareable, is at the next barbecue conversation, can I be saying, hey, this is what the simple thing that these guys did differently. And the last one, which I think is the most important out of the 4, is emotion. How are you generating emotion with your customers? And that doesn't have to be boo-hoo kind of emotion. It's more the wow moments, the excited, the breakthrough, the aha moments, those kind of emotions, and how we elongating those emotions out so that people have a journey with that emotion too. And we're bookending that.
This is very powerful. Let me add something here real quick. I mean, on each point, as you're explaining these, I'm going in my head like,
can we share some quick scenarios of like how maybe we'll do this? Fonzie shares a moment, I can share a moment, and then you can share a moment. Sounds good?
Sounds like brilliant.
I think we need to paint the picture on different scenarios, like for people to like, okay,
cool.
how can they apply? How can they apply this today?
Absolutely. I mean, not like you interrupted me, but it's okay,
Sorry, Mr. Kameho, I apologize.
There we go. As you were, talking about these 4 elements, I put here the 4 elements of earning trust. I started picturing it through a process like, wow, we actually do a lot of these things, maybe not as a structure, as you mentioned it, but we do try to be as personable as possible, right? For example, when we're booking the podcast, we have a previous call where we jump in and we get to know each other, right? I know a lot of people might do that, but a lot of people might just like to send an invite and a form, and that's about it. We like to, have a little bit chat.
There's also a very specific moment of why we do that and when.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna add another example, which is when we, seal a new partnership into the business. The onboarding email actually is not a Bonjoro email, a Bonjoro video, but is a Loom video specifically recorded for them. Like literally, as I hung up the call, I'm like, cool, I'm going to send you the onboarding email. I grab my phone, I open the Loom app, and I'm like, I'm so thankful, right, that you are working with us. I'm very grateful for this. These are the next step.
At the beginning of our business, it was, I am so grateful because I'm gonna be able to eat for the next month. That was like
absolutely.
That is what was going through our mind during the first couple of years.
Absolutely. And I'm about to hand this one over to my brother here in just a second, but there's two things, quick things that I think are important for people. When you talk about unexpected, create those unexpected moments, right? This is something I've been kind of like diving more in my personal life. What I think it applies for this is the fact that everybody needs novelty in their life, right? Needs new things, right? Things that gets you out of your maybe day-to-day routine. And I think those unexpected, whether that is a gift, right? Or a moment, an experience, whatever it is, that's just brings you out of the routine, which I feel like it creates a deeper bond between you and the other person, right? And then on the last point that you share, the emotion, I remember reading this a while back and I never forgot it, but it's emotions create memories, right? When you feel things, the plasticity, your neuroplasticity starts creating, a deeper connections or strengthening the connections. And literally, when you feel those emotions again, the memories that are attached to those emotions are going to surface. So if you are providing incredible emotions to your customers, when they get those emotions back, guess what? They're going to think about you. They're going to be like, oh, I remember that moment, right, with Jay. That was absolutely amazing. And you're going to stay top of mind. So I just wanted to share those kind of quick notes in there. But your turn.
I'm actually gonna. I was writing some notes of very specific situations here for those 4 elements of building trust. Which, by the way, Jay, you just gave us another amazing keynote. We're gonna give you all the credit. This is so good. But Jay, like, do you want to share first before I do? Like,
I wouldn't mind just touching on that emotion piece because I love. You're 100% right as far as emotion drives memory and. We make decisions based off emotion and then backfill it with logic.
Yep.
So, if we assume that all of our customers, all people, humans generally are irrational people, that because of the fact that we don't really make any decision without emotion coming into that, then that's a safer place for us to play than thinking that everyone needs to look at us from a logical standpoint. We're not assessing our suppliers in a logical standpoint. We all come out of meetings and say things like, I don't know, I just got a weird feeling from him. That hasn't got anything to do with his competence. And so those memories, as you say, come from emotion. So what's the best way to start to drive that emotion? It's through storytelling. It's actually about how you build a narrative and a story around your customer and not look at them as the win and the ring the bell kind of, we've got another one, but what's the narrative that we can build around this customer that we can then bring them into and look at what is the moment where they save the princess at the end of this story? What is that lovely moment where they win at the end of this story.
Yeah.
And let's backfill that to create something amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. My brother's the princess, just for reference for everybody, so they can have an image in their
Clearly.
head.
Yeah, I can see Mari just like doing the whole like thumbnail for this episode, just putting me as a princess. Don't do that, Mari. Don't do that. Anyways, okay, so I want to walk through like real quick, like on personalized, right? Like for example, we have. And I love to talk about containers, right? Like we have like these different phases, right? And these 4 elements can be present in each of these phases. We might have like, let's say if we talk in the context of the show, we've been currently helping a lot of people to getting their show off the ground, right? We just had a call today with our coach that we're also helping on their end to kind of build those frameworks to be able to publish consistently. And he's like, guys, like just the fact of like putting a date that on Thursdays at 3 p.m. this is what I'm doing is help move forward, right? But like him, there's a lot of people. He tried for like a year or so to try to get like a publishing platform off the ground. And a lot of people might be thinking, oh, that's a great idea. Imagine big companies, right? If one person has a lot of friction to start doing this, imagine big companies, right? Where there's a bureaucratic process. Anyway, so there's containers of where we can create this experience. And for us, you know, in our show, how can we personalize the fact that somebody's going to come into our show, right? Nowadays, it's very popular to do that. So one element is we have like a 20-minute chat, right? Where it's like completely like, let's find out about each other. Let's see if there's good energy. Like if it's good energy, clearly you made the cut and we do this, right? So Jay, congrats, you made the cut. Yeah, let's go. Or, right, like we do like a quick video and it's incredible. We're very proud of our track record. Out of 271 episodes, every single person that we've asked has said yes, right? One said yes after they say no, but they ended up saying yes.
Actually, there's been only one person that has said no.
Who was it?
But we haven't been able to. Well, we actually didn't ask him again. We haven't asked him again to bring it back.
Who was it?
Joel Kaplan.
Joel Kaplan. Joel.
Yeah, Joel. We're coming for you.
Coming for you.
Coming for you.
But it's because of like, well, people are continuously ask like, you know, why, how? It's like probably the personalized process on how we get there is like through DMs, videos, and a lot of people want to automate these things. They have like these automated campaigns on LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever, and we're like, man, like we do this 3 times a week, and we've never have a lack of that. It's because we personalize the process for each one of them. Yep. Yes, it is a lift, but it is very beneficial because these people are the relationships that drive the business, that we can add value to them. They can add value to us. Right now, it's funny. We had a meeting the other day with one of our clients that we're planning a big lunch, and they're like, oh, we need a funnel builder. Oh, we need this person. Oh, we need like this person for SEO. And all we did was we pulled out the guest list and we're like, maybe this is a good fit. Maybe this is a person. And we were able to provide a bunch of introductions. Again, personalized, unexpected, because they were like what was going on, right? Is remarkable because we added a ton of value. I think they hired like 2 of the people that we introduced, right? And then is emotional because we're solving a problem that we're just happy. So that's like one example of like, how can we turn potentially a platform or an experience, and think about like, how can you do it in your sales process?
Yeah.
How can you do it in your guest booking? How can you do it in your publishing? So
I'm just going to put this out there. We're going to have to do a training together. You know,
on this.
Yeah, on this. I think it would be absolutely amazing. We're definitely going to have to, you know, come back to that thought after the podcast.
Now, hold on. Golden boulder moment. Jay, that was a golden boulder moment. You just dropped the biggest golden boulder.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Today, yeah.
We need to buy the helmets.
I know, man.
Oh my God. Yeah, we thought about getting props for the show for the longest time. We need helmets for when the golden boulders come out.
Money guns.
We need money guns, you know, for when people just talk awesomeness. So what happens after you start building trust with people, right? Let's say you're helping one of your customers, you're helping them be remarkable, and they start to build this trust with the audience. What is next?
Yeah, so let me just take one step back and say from a these moments, these remarkable moments, I'm concerned that maybe the listeners are sitting there going, you know, oh, I've got to come up with these ideas, and I kind of, you know, it doesn't have to be that hard. I'll give you an example. I'll give you 2 really quick examples. We all think about our customers at Christmas. You know, we all think, oh, we've got to send out cards, or we've got to send out a gift to our customers to say thank you for the year or whatever. Why don't we send out a gift or a card at 4 months after they've engaged with us? Mm-hmm. suddenly you take something that you were going to do anyway and making it unexpected.
Yep.
A thank you. Listen, you guys have been with us for 4 months. I just wanted to reach out and just say thank you so much for being a really valued customer of ours. Right?
Yep.
The one that we use a lot as an example, and excuse the really simplicity of it, but maybe it illustrates it in a good way, is the idea of a deck builder. Do you call it decks in the States? Am I
like
or veranda?
Patios?
No, like a presentation, correct?
No.
Like a patio.
Yeah,
Look
patio.
at that.
Yeah. Sorry, that's where the confusion comes in.
I mean, it's like you guys. It's like you guys had a 20-minute conversation before I joined. It's like I feel so left out.
We planned this moment. We're like, hey, you're gonna bring up the decks, and we're gonna make fun of my brother.
It's okay, guys.
So say you're a builder. You're building decks, right? So I had this happen to me, so it's pretty relevant. Where this guy came along, he did a really great job. He polished our deck. Looks amazing. Australia's known for big decks looking out over the sunset and whatever. So he did a great job. But what was unexpected is he put something in his diary that 3 months after he'd done the job, he came and knocked on our door with a tin of decking, and he said, "Hey, I've just been thinking about your deck. I've just been thinking about your deck, and you might want to just take some decking oil and give it a touch up now and then. It'll make it look good." Now, just in that moment, I thought, "Gosh, this guy cares," and I have reused that story over and over and over again. And told people about it and referred it. And that's the little simple story, the simple and unexpected story, talking about remarkable, that I was able to share. Is he showed up with some decking oil 3 months after.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
I'm going to put this out there. That is the whole marketing campaign for that oil thing, is we care about your deck, right? But it's like you can put it out there, people it'll go viral. I think that thing will go viral right there.
Totally. So where do you go after this? What's the next step? So you've created a group of, this is sort of the ladder we're looking at here, is turning audiences into advocates, and hopefully then putting a container around those advocates and creating community. That's the holy grail of this, is that you create this long-term, profitable, facilitated community that is just your marketing engine. Really, it is out there talking about you. So unexpected moments, you're creating advocates, you're sort of taking people through this. We've got a ladder that sort of talks to community, but that you're getting them to a place where they feel invested in your brand. That's the end goal, is how do I get my customers to a place where they feel invested in the success of my brand? And then it's about going, okay, well, how do we now pull a container around this and create a community? You guys, what's been your journey around that?
It's been an interesting one, right? Like I think like our community started by accident in many ways, right? We've talked for so long. We're like, we gotta build this, and it's funny because we invest in masterminds, and just like publishing, that you should do this, right? And we're like, okay, until we make the conscious decision that we're actually gonna go do that, it's not gonna happen, right? And I remember going through one of our masterminds, and we're like, okay, one of the elements that we need to be able to pull this off or do these campaigns is involving social outreach and this outbound strategy. We need a place where we can drive people to and have conversations and receive feedback and like invite people, right? And that took shape as a Facebook group. But at the time, we didn't really know how to start it. And we're doing one of our famous challenges, 45 Live, right? Going live for 45 days. And it grabbed a ton of traction. And we had about 100 people that wanted to join. So we're like, okay, maybe this is the place where we drive that, right? And immediately, like, we put everybody in the group and we ran the challenge in that group, and that created like this initial sense of community. And then we dropped the ball completely, right? We're like, okay, the challenge is over. now what? And we were so lost on what to do. And you know, to be honest, we still are, right? We're like, okay, how are we actually going to dedicate time to this community and do this? And it wasn't until like 2 weeks ago, we announced the hotspot announcement. We announced the hotspot network, and then we're like, what do we do to celebrate this? And we ended up with an idea, like a 10K idea with giveaway, with bonuses and prizes and gift cards and all this stuff.
We're pretty much turned into Oprah.
Yeah, basically.
You get a car. You get a car.
Yeah. By the way, go listen. Right on the feed is like our Oprah moment. It's called the episode. It's pretty funny. But we drove it through the community, the people that were in there, and we're like, hey guys, like we want you to be a part of this. Like, because of you helped us in our journey to publish, to do this, to get this show out there, and this is now providing opportunities for many others, right? So we want you to be a part of this, and we were able to do this, and we had one of the highest engagements ever in our lifetime, creating this sense of community. And now what happened right after that on the debrief was a lot of people were giving us feedback. They're like, guys, you should do this again. Guys, this was amazing. Hey guys, how can we bring more people into this? Hey guys, I'm interested in what you do. Hey guys, like tell me more. Like, hey, can we have a call next week about what, you know, the services that you offer? Like, this was so awesome. And it was, again, going back to your 4 elements, right? It was a personalized experience for everybody, like in the community, right? It was very unexpected because it was something that we never did before, right?
It was unexpected for us.
For us too. It was remarkable because, again, like it created like this memory, and it created a ton of emotion.
Like you said, is it shareable, right? Part of that being remarkable. It was very shareable. It was one of the posts that people shared the most and commented the most, and we incentivized them obviously with, you know, the prices to share the experience in the event, and people were doing it, which was pretty interesting.
Yeah, and you know, to your point, we're like, okay, this is a continuous journey that we need to like start exploring a little bit more and be like, how can we put ourselves in a position where we can serve the audience, right? Like, and again, if we go back to like the way that we do business, right? We have like this high-end service that is very personalized in the sense of like what the outreach that we do, how we get into those conversations. And then because of the show, because of the publishing being consistent, there's this audience building on one side that happened like when we were not looking, because we were not paying attention to it, right? We were paying attention to our one-on-one relationships because of the type of service that we offer. But when this audience started getting a little bit louder and requesting information and be like, hey, how can I be a part of this? That was the indicator that told us, oh man, we now need to pay attention maybe to this as well. And now as a business, we're like, okay, how do we build the systems? How do we build the accountability? How do we build the checks? Like where do we, like, what do we offer? Like, how do we listen to the needs so we can provide, right? So currently today, as we're recording this conversation, this is a conversation that we have every single week. And we're like, okay, how can we improve and try and think? So I love this element because eventually if we do it right, there's going to be people there that are going to be massive assets, like we mentioned at the beginning of the episode, right? Not just for us, but also for the message, for publishing, and who cares if they do business with us? But if we create a great experience that they can, then BIZBROS are memorable in their eyes, we win, right? We win.
Round of
I got the applause.
Yeah, that was pretty good. That's pretty good.
Like, this never happens. This is the first time ever in the show that FONZI like does that to me. So thank you for setting the stage.
Great.
To
that's
let me
great for your
deliver
relationship as well. I think long term, that's some validation between brothers. I love it.
Absolutely.
Did that answer your question though?
Yeah,
a little bit.
So I think there's 2 pieces here, guys, that I think that are worth sort of mentioning. And I think are opportunities that don't often get taken up, because as business owners, we want to show up for our customer. We want to serve, as you said so eloquently before, you know, that idea of how do you show up and give enough value for your customer. When you step into community, though, the interesting thing is that it starts to shift. And the shift is there's two pieces. First of all, hats off to you guys, because of the thing that seems to be the common denominator that's run through all the people that we've interviewed on the podcast and all the research that we've done is that there's a crazy leader or leaders that are willing to actually push through difficulty and do things that are difficult to serve and often it's not necessarily with a win straight away. it's that's because of the fact that you can show up with warmth of intention a lot more easily when there's no money involved. Obviously, it becomes a bit more complex otherwise. So it's that leader that everyone can go, cool guys, I love what you've done there. That's awesome. How can we do more? And I have to put a pin in the fact that there's emotion showing up there, right? With those people that are coming back to you and going, cool. And then you say, all right, we're in a community now. How do we now set this community up as a product in itself? And how do we, as the leaders, get in the back seat rather than the front seat? Mm-hmm. So the real power, when you listen back to some of the feedback that you're getting around that sort of pseudo community that you have created already through that momentum of that offer that you created, is that people are starting to feel a sense of belonging. How can we do more of this? That was really cool. They're starting to see some stuff, the energy of other people, not just you. So if you look at someone like I'm a bit of a fan of how Simon Sinek's gone about a lot of his work. And you look at what he's doing now, and it's even his podcast. I don't know whether you've listened to the Simon Sinek podcast, but he hardly ever shows up. So it's other people that he's brought around who share his same energy, who he now facilitates with dropping in every now and then and being Elvis in the room rather than, him being there all the time. And with that, you guys create posture, create a level of scarcity, create a level in your community that when you do show up, you get applause all the time.
Hopefully. maybe one person.
So I guess the two pieces I think there are, you need to be crazy enough to actually push through the naysayers and do something remarkable. And second of all, you need to have the confidence and the humility to be able to then jump in the back seat, control the vision of that community, but facilitate connections with other people in your community.
Yeah, 100%. I want to put a call to action there for the people listening right now. Like, by the way, if you made it this far, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Go, there's going to be all the links, and we're going to tell you exactly where to go in just a second to connect with Jay too. But
I'm going to spoil it. Just go to the bottom of the notes.
Okay. I just said that, but it's fine. Wow. I meet you in the garage after this. Okay.
We got the boxing gloves ready to go downstairs.
But no, I really encourage people to start looking at these elements, right? Like of community, like how can I serve it? Like how can I make this unexpected valuable? Like create emotion in your current ecosystem, whether that's a bigger company, whether that's just you, like with the people that you're involved, that you have around. If you don't have a Facebook group, it's okay. Like who's close to you that you've been having conversations, right? Like who we bring them together. Maybe here are some ideas, right? Like a Q&A call every Thursday at 2 p.m., for example. Like, hey, let's get together, right? It doesn't have to be like a Facebook group or a community, a paid community. No, like how can we get together? How can we do this? And I remember when we first starting up, we had something similar. We're like, hey, we're having these calls where we're not selling anything. We just need feedback, and we're going to share a little bit of what we do, and hopefully it helps you. We had about 25 people that jumped on those calls and gave us incredible value. And this was out of Facebook Lives, right? So again, like what are some of those ways that you can start creating that if you don't have it? And if you do have it, right, how can you add these elements so you turn it into a better thing, bigger thing, and you add a ton of value? So thank you, Jay. Like you've been dropping golden boulders all around today. That was absolutely. We're definitely gonna need to go to Amazon and buy those
the helmets.
Those helmets.
I do want to add here something, right? We talk about building trust, then transitioning kind of like that trust and building the community. And I want to add the piece you talk about. It's challenging because a lot of people bring up the ROI aspect, right? Like, oh, what is the ROI on trust and community? And yeah, it is a long-term game. And we've talked plenty of times in the podcast about longevity. It's a long-term game. And yes, a successful business, I mean, you can define it a lot of ways, but it needs to be profitable. Absolutely. But the thing is, setting yourself up with these principles and foundations of trust and building community and nurturing your community is gonna set you up to be a profitable business. I mean, just look at any other business that runs off of a community, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna see the trend of growth. You see really big companies, software companies right now, for example, like ActiveCampaign, even Calendly, and now they're trying to build communities and they're trying to host these events where they're bringing their users together so they can keep growing, so they can longevity, increase the LTV, right, of their customers. It's absolutely amazing. So I do want to encourage people to kind of like shift from the mentality of how can I make a quick buck right now to how do I get people in my ecosystem and, fill them with trust and grow together.
I think also, Fonzie, on that, it's quality over quantity here. So looking at you mentioned masterminds before. I think they're a really effective way of creating community. Mm-hmm. Creating a dinner with 10 people, that start with going, who are those people that are already in your advocate circle, and how can I start to bring them around me a lot more? Don't think Facebook group. There's a lot of dormant Facebook groups out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Just remind me, recently, I think it was like 3 episodes ago, we had Travis Chappelle, which he's pretty big in the podcasting world, right? He's the founder of guestio.com, sorry. And he was talking just about the dinner. We told him, what are some ways that you build these amazing relationships? Because his whole podcast is literally about building your network. And one of the things he mentioned was, once a quarter, I bring some of the best relationships that I have, and I pay for a dinner for everybody, and I put all those people in the same room. And when you put all those people in the same room, trust me that something amazing is going to happen.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry, as I was dying over here, choking. Fonzie put something on my drink apparently today. Anyway, Jay, this has been so fun. Thank you so much for the conversation. We have 2 more questions before we head out. Excuse me.
You good?
Can you take over, please?
I'll ask the questions. You need some water?
Yeah.
Here, there's water right here. So, first question is, can we leave people with an action point, right? People that are thinking, okay, cool. I am convinced. I am certain that I need to build more trust with people. What is a good first step for them to start building trust, whether that is with their audience or with their current customers?
I think the first step that if you're really keen around this and you're saying, okay, this is a really important piece, you need to start with intention. You need to start with, okay, what is the transformation that I'm taking my customer through? And I say that because of the fact we spend a lot of time thinking about purpose and mission and these kind of things, but we don't often think about when my customer is finished their stay or has been through a stay with us, and I say stay in a sort of a hotel kind of way, but it could be any type of business, their engagement with us, what is the transformation we want them to have gone through? Once you know that, and that's not necessarily product based. It could be, I want people to feel like, let's go back to the decking example. The intention wouldn't be that I create great decks. The moment that he goes beyond that and says, I want families to spend more time together.
Yeah.
Right. And the deck is the facilitator for that. Then suddenly you have, okay, all of my marketing comes off the back of how do I help families spend more time together, which is a broader reach than I want to create great decks for people.
Yeah.
So focusing on, if there's one thing, is to spend some time, and that usually is a statement that says something along the lines of, I do this so that my customers can do this. If we can get that statement sorted, you'll find that a lot of the remarkable moments and the little unexpected moments and your community are already defined based off that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's
awesome.
powerful.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. That is a great first step for people to think about and, more importantly, execute on.
Yeah. Take a second, put pause in the podcast, go do that statement. If I do this, I do this, so my customer do this. All right, unpause it now. You can go now.
Well, I think how are they gonna listen to the unpause part if they pause?
Well, they just unpause it, so they just listen to it.
Unpause.
Unpause. I know.
It sounds kind of like the Nike Run app that the guy's like, okay, you're done with your workout. Pause it now for a few seconds so you can stretch, and then you pause it, and then you're like, okay, when do I start running now?
Oh man. Okay, Jay, last question. Favorite question of all time, obviously. Where will you be if you did not publish?
Publishing has been a really interesting game for me, and it's been a long-term game. But I have realized that through being truly authentic with content and actually, and that's a journey in itself. I think we use the word authentic. It's a bit of a buzzword now, right? Is it this authenticity piece? It seems to come up everywhere, but like it's a journey to get there. It's a journey.
Yeah.
So for me, it has been a journey to actually, to finding my authentic self. I guess it has been is content in its purest form, and being consistent with that content has allowed me to show up in my sweet spot, I think.
Yeah.
Man, I love your answer. I think it's so powerful. That is actually something people don't think much about when it comes to content. They think content is just about putting information out there that is going to resonate with your audience. But it is extremely powerful to find your own, kind of
own voice.
Finding your own voice, reinforcing or challenging your beliefs. We've talked about this actually a while back when we started, having the podcast. We started talking and then asking ourselves, wow, wait 1 second. Do I actually believe what I'm sharing right now? Right? And then you start kind of like filtering your thoughts, putting your thoughts into words, and is absolutely amazing. That whole process. So I'm so glad that you brought that up. That was incredible.
Yeah, I love how you put it. It's allowing me to show up in my sweet spot, right? And as you were saying that, and mixing it with authenticity and how that's a buzzword, right? In my head, I'm thinking like, how many people say they're authentic, but they're still faking it when they go out in front of a camera, right? They're not themselves. They don't, play jokes. And before we started the show, we're, sharing a little bit about like how the wives of the people that publish are like, oh, why should people be listening to you, right? I listen to you every day. Like, I'm kind of joking around that, but like that's very true. And like I create like something very in the subconscious, right, that can prevent from publishing. And I reflect a little bit to like our own journey, right? Like, and to pat ourselves on the back a little bit, right? It's this morning we just thank you, Fonzie. Today we just found out that the show is like top 2% in the world, right? And we were like, what? Right? So like it's like.
Come on, that needs a round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you, Jay. Appreciate it. But here's where I'm coming from. Like 2 years ago, we started this from a place of like need, right? And a lot of people try to start their publishing from a place of like need. Maybe I need a client. Maybe I need to connect with this person. Maybe I need to give this information, right? And through that process that you just described, you find yourself, like Fonzie said, you start learning about what you really think, right? And or me personally being comfortable with saying dad jokes or choking in front of the mic or like whatever, right? Like be comfortable.
Who chokes the mic now, huh?
We choked. We need those shirts for the event at the end of the month. Anyway, but to my point, it's like, well, this is the vehicle, right, that allows us, and by being truly authentic and being ourselves is the only way that we're gonna remove the friction from actually doing it, because we're gonna be just ourselves. We don't need to figure out, this whole act that adds friction to the production of the thing, and that's why I feel a lot of people don't publish or fail at this, because they add so much friction. So, dude, like you have been on spot. Thank you so much for today. I'm very excited. Like today was a fun conversation, man.
Yeah, it was great.
I'm glad we met.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much, not only for having me on the show, but also your mentorship with this podcasting journey. It's been fun.
Awesome.
Thanks,
I appreciate it.
Yeah, we're going to leave the Rubik's Cube challenge for the next episode. If you want to do it right now.
It's like, as we play the credits, Jay, where can people find you? Where can people connect with you? Other than the links right below, what we want people to listen in case they're driving or doing their laundry, you know?
You know what? As far as preferred social, jump on LinkedIn. I think that's where I probably spend the most time. It's just Jay Tinkler as a handle there. And check out the website, remarkably, remarkably, .com.au, and the podcast is there, and yeah, I'd love for you to join our community.
Awesome. Well, we're gonna leave all the links at the bottom for those that didn't notice throughout the conversation. The .au is because Jay's from Australia.
I'm from Australia, mate. Yeah.
Just in case you didn't notice.
Jay, so before we jump on the show, right, FONZI goes like, hey, heads up. He's from Australia and he has an accent. And I'm like, bro, hey, let me tell you, I lived with 2 Australians when I was like in Spain, and the first month I was like, what are you guys talking about? Like, I cannot understand a word of you say.
The bit that I didn't hear is it's Thursday here, so technically I'm from the future as well. Like, you know, a bit of respect.
Oh man,
I know what's going to happen.
Yeah, we should include that in the intro. He comes from the future. Oh man, that would have been epic.
Yeah. Oh, Jay, this is awesome. Anything you want to add before we head out?
No, I think listen, there's something pure in looking for the moments where you can be remarkable. I think that's probably a good place to start. Is that anyone can be remarkable, and I think that's it just takes time to actually sit down with your glass of wine or favorite beer and map it out.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Awesome, FONZI. Anything else?
No, I think we should leave it right there.
It's right there.
Yep.
Sweet. With that said, guys, thank you so much for tuning into the Continence Profit Podcast. Go ahead and follow the show in your favorite platform and on social media at BIZBROS Co.
That is right. And if Jay here helped you move one step closer towards your goal, please don't forget to share this episode with 3 friends and leave a 5-star review. See ya.
Bye, guys.